Okay, so again, welcome to Unlock Your Personal Genius, the key to making it work for you. I'm Tammy Steele, the founder of Fully Present Women, and my passion is connection. Not only connection with each other, but also connection with ourselves. For those of you who don't know me, I have an in-depth background on a variety of topics, subjects like technology, career, family, motherhood, communication, spirituality, and healing. I started out with a computer science degree and worked in technology for 10 years, writing robotic software and test systems for airplanes and also at Microsoft. And then I pretty much went into full-time motherhood for several years. I have 3 boys. One I just sent off to college, and then I have a junior and a 7th grader. In the last 7 years, I've completed a 4-year program at the Northwest School of Healing, where I studied personality types, energetic healing, and I became a Reiki master. I also completed a 2-year certification course with Chopra University in California to become a Perfect Health instructor. And we'll talk more about what Perfect Health is later on. About 2 years ago, about 2.5 years ago, I opened a private healing practice and started teaching a couple of different courses and coaching people. Recently, I launched Fully Present Women, where I am committed to helping women reconnect with their sexy, vibrant selves and empowering them to take care of themselves without feeling guilty. Now, I believe there are 4 basic steps to reconnecting with that sexy, vibrant self. The first step is to meditate, and this is actually the best and most proven way to connect with yourself and to really start to have that calm center, that way of knowing what your answer is. The next step is really to identify your uniqueness. You know, and this is what we're going to talk about today. We're always, bombarded with things that are purported to be one size fits all, but we are all born special and unique. And so trying to connect with that uniqueness and use that as a filter will be a place of power, and you will start to understand as we go through this session today how amazing that can be for you. The third step is nourishing yourself, and you can use your uniqueness to figure out what nourishing yourself means. And so the 4th step is to connect to others and communicate effectively. And to do this, we want to start by learning how to connect to ourselves. So again, we use all of these 4 steps, and I have a lot of information about step number 2 today that we'll go through. And I will share with you how you can identify your uniqueness. So why isn't this working for me? Well, we are bombarded with quick fix solutions for diet, exercise. We're told we need cosmetic procedures. We need to eat this, not that. Run here. Do this exercise. Oh, do this for 5 minutes a day, and you'll be fabulous. We're continuously bombarded with these things, and we might try some of them and they might work for us for a while, or we might see them work for somebody else and that person seems to be, fit and healthy and calm and having this wonderful life, but we've tried those exact same things and maybe they just don't work for us. And we want to know why. And, with all this stress of being bombarded with all these choices, that can leave you feeling defeated and overwhelmed. So now today we'll take the first step forward towards understanding how you can filter all of this information that's coming towards you so that you can figure out what will work for you. So today we're going to have a lot of information, and it'll take about a little less than an hour. We'll try to get going so that you can move on with your evening. First, I want to share with you that at the end of the hour, you will be given access to a key tool that will enable you to unlock what will work for you. The key is called the Mind Body Assessment Tool, or Dosha Quiz, and we'll get to what dosha means later. And it comes directly from Chopra Center's Perfect Health curriculum, and I use this tool when I teach the curriculum and also with my private clients as a way to help them create custom plans. And today I will share with you how to use that tool so that you can learn what will work for you when it comes to food, fitness, and relieving stress. And during this event, I will share with you how you can use an ancient wisdom from 5,000 years ago, and not only to discover how using the unique mind-body type that you were born with, but also how you can easily determine exactly where you are out of balance. And at the end of this evening, I will tell you where you can download this tool, this mind-body assessment tool, and you'll be able to do just that. You'll find out what your mind-body type is, and you'll also be able to assess your current state. So additionally, as a guest today and for hanging out with me for the next hour, I'm offering you a chance to receive a free private call with me to discuss the results of your assessment. That way I can make sure that you're well on your way to being able to use the information you get today to create your own custom plans. So let's start with a 5,000-year-old ancient wisdom. So Ayurveda is a Sanskrit word, and many of you may have heard it, or you may not have heard it, or you might think, oh, that's some special weird diet. That's what I used to think, and even though I've been sort of, learning about different kinds of, naturopath, homeopathic, holistic types healings, I never really looked into Ayurveda until maybe about 7 or 8 years ago. And when I started to really find out what it was, and I visited the Chopra Center, and I was so fascinated because it is this mind-body health system that's 5,000 years old. And they were saying 5,000 years ago that meditation is important. And, Western science is now proving how important meditation is. They were talking about food, like you eat, fresh, healthy food of multiple colors to balance your life and be healthy. And, and now, clearly we have lots of scientific support for that. The word Ayurveda actually means life knowledge or science of life. Aryas in Sanskrit means life, and Veda is Sanskrit for science or knowledge. And so in Ayurveda, what they do, they describe everything in our physical universe as to having being made up of the 5 basic elements. So there's space, and there's air, and there's fire, and there's water, and there's earth. And everything in our physical world is actually combinations of space, air, fire, water, and earth. They're the building blocks of nature. And in Ayurveda, they describe our mind-body constitutions based on the amount of space, air, water, fire, and earth we have. These exist, all of these space and air and fire, all these elements, they exist outside of us in our physical world and inside of us in our bodies. For example, space is, the open space. It's you look up, you see the stars. Within our body, there's space between our cells. With air, you're talking about, our breath, anything that animates us. Of course, the air external to us is surrounding us. It's wind, it's movement, and then fire, of course, is everything that generates heat or creates transformation. It's digestion, because you're digesting, you're transforming that food into energy. it's thought processes inside our bodies. When we think, we are taking information and creating ideas and thoughts. And you probably heard the saying, I think, somebody says, oh, I'm just thinking about it. And someone else says, I thought I smelled something burning. Well, that is, based in the fact that our thoughts are a transformation. They're a fire process. And internally, it's also digestion, as I mentioned. Water is, most of the earth is water. Most of our bodies are made of water. It's that cohesive, protective force around us and in our environment. We're born in a sack of water. It creates cohesion and protection. Earth is, solidity and mass and form. It's the mountains and the earth and rocks and solid structures. And internally, it's our bones and our muscles and our cartilage. So, again, in Ayurveda, they define 3 mind-body constitutions. We are all made up of all 3 of these mind-body constitutions, which are named Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And the doshas, what we use them for is for the 2 things that I was talking about. We're going to use them to determine what combination we are, because everybody has a different level of Vata compared to their Pitta, compared to their Kapha. And if we can start to understand how what our nature is, then we can start to make choices that support that nature. So let's look at Vata first. Vata's primary functions, because it's mostly space and air, are movement and transportation. And the movement and transportation has various qualities associated with it. So qualities of Vata are, Vatas tend to be cold, light, dry, irregular, rough, mobile, quick, and changeable. And so, these characteristics can be used to describe, you or your nature, but also just even seasons or buildings or cities. So those are more of the general qualities of Vata. And then we can look at more specific qualities when we start to look at a person. So characteristics of a person who has more Vata tendencies: they resemble the wind, they're light and airy, and they might have a thin, light frame. Their digestion is, and sleep patterns might be variable because it's, it's windy and airy. They might have dry skin and hair, cold hands and feet. You might move and talk quickly if you're predominantly Vata. You might resist routine and welcome new experiences. That spontaneous person, you can call that Vata person and say, let's go jump out of an airplane, and they're going to say, yeah, let's do it tomorrow. Now, you might start looking at these characters and say, well, I have, the first 4, but not so much the last 2, or, you might start to think, am I Vata? Well, of course you have Vata, so some of these things will apply to you. But what we'll get to with the tool when you use the tool is you'll be able to really hone in on what you are mostly, and then you can use that. And we'll talk a lot about that as we go through this. So another part is to talk about what it means to be a balanced Vata. So if you are predominantly Vata, or you have your Vata characteristics imbalance, you will be energetic, creative, adaptable, you show initiative, you're a great communicator, you're spontaneous. These are all characteristics of that Vata person who has a lot of air and space and energy. Now, if you have too much air and space, you can become imbalanced. And so you'll see this theme throughout all of these, that you're wanting to stay in balance. And so when you become over in air and space, and again, you could be a Kapha person and have a Vata imbalance. And I will keep saying that just to be clear as we go through. With too much air and space, your mind can become overactive. You can get anxious. You can start to worry. You can be inconsistent. Maybe you forgot to go to a meeting or you showed up late. You might have insomnia or digestion problems that have to do with air or drying, so constipation, gas, bloating, these kinds of things. So the cool thing about starting to look at these characteristics and the imbalanced part of it is if you experience an overactive mind or anxiety or you're having trouble sleeping, you can come to this list and go, is that a Vata or a Pitta or a Kapha thing? You go, okay, so I'm having trouble sleeping. That's a Vata imbalance. And then you can then go and say, what is the Vata balancing activity or food or, thing that I need to do to bring it back in balance? And that's the beauty of learning and why I call it a key to your personal genius is that you can take that information and then be very specific about how you correct it and bring it back into balance. So let's go ahead and move on to Pitta. So Pitta is primary functions are transformation and metabolism, like we talked about. Fire and water are the main elements in Pitta. So you can start to think about what characteristics are of fire. Fire's hot. It's provides light. It's intense. It's penetrating. It's spicy, sharp, acidic, and then with water, of course, or if you're really hot, you might be sweaty or moist. So those are characteristics that you can see applied to for fire and water. Now, if you flip that over to a person, you can see that a person might be fiery in nature, and they build-wise are probably medium build. They have a really strong digestion because, fire is metabolism and digestion, and Pitta's in balance can pretty much eat most things and, not have a problem with it. They're generally warm, of course, because of the fire. They sleep soundly, and they're, really happy to tell you they don't need very much sleep. They have a sharp intellect. They're direct and precise. They like routine, and they're very courageous. And again, we have the balanced version of Pitta. Pittas are bright, warm, and friendly, and good decision makers, and great leaders. And again, they have that strong digestion when they are balanced. And that means that you don't have too much fire because again, if we have too much fire, and this could apply to a Vata or a predominantly Kapha type person, too much fire can create anger, irritability, all of these extra fire things that you can think about. We might become excessively critical or judgmental or aggressive or, get a skin rash because we have too much fire. Inflammation can be a Pitta imbalance, and also indigestion. Too much fire can really, overdo your digestion. So, so again, the theme here is we want to be balanced so that if we are generally Pitta personalities, that we are bright, warm, and friendly, not angry, irritable, and critical. All right, so let's look at the Kapha dosha. So, or mind-body type. Those are used interchangeably. So if I say dosha, I mean mind-body type. The primary functions of Kapha are protection and structural integrity. It's that protection of water and that structure of earth. The qualities of Kapha, are cold. Kaphas can be, feel cold in their bodies. Kapha is heavy and solid and stable, smooth, it's slow, it's steady, it's stamina. People who are predominantly Kapha are grounded, they're, really unruffled. They're like, they can deal with stress. They're the person you want to go to for a hug when you feel stressed. And Kaphas, they don't really want to change. They like things if they're working pretty well. So physically, and they're going to tend to be heavy set, have smooth skin and thick hair. They will be sound sleepers and like, more sleep, like 8 to 10 hours, maybe more some days. They have great stamina. They're easygoing, things aren't going to ruffle them like, the unruffled. They're methodical and thoughtful, and they really do like routine. Again, they don't really like things to change, and they want to know what to expect. So a Kapha person in balance is steady, they're consistent, they're loyal, they're strong, they're supportive, they're content and calm. Again, it's just that rock you can count on in a crisis. And again, if you have too much solid, slow, water, you can start to become dull, inert, or needy, or attached, overly attached to not changing, or to a person. You can start to get congestion if you have too much water or, fluid. Too much structure can cause overweight, people to be overweight. You can become complacent. Too much Kapha can you might not want to get up off the couch, so and you can become overly protective. So again, I'm going to say it again just to be clear. Any of us can be imbalanced in Kapha, even if we're a Vata or a Pitta, and we can be imbalanced in any of the doshas. And that is where the beauty of the tool comes in, because again, we're not only going to learn how to use the tool to find out how we came here. So like we're predominantly Kapha, we want to celebrate our steady, consistent, loyal, strong, supportive selves. We don't want to try to change our body style if we're body-wise, heavy set. We're not going to be a size 0, so give that up. Let's just be the best Kapha we can be. And then you can look at what imbalances might be going on, and maybe you are a Vata with a light frame, and you sleep sometimes and you don't sleep other times, and you're bright and energetic, but you have a Kapha imbalance. Maybe you can't get off the couch. What's up with that? Well, your Kapha's imbalance, and that is where that second part of the tool that we'll talk about will come into play. So you can figure out where your imbalance is and use that to bring yourself into that healthy balance. So let's move on then to the tool and how you will be able to use that tool. It's an individual mind-body constitution tool. It's called a lot of different things, mind-body assessment tool, or the dosha quiz. And on the dosha quiz, there are 2 sections. The first section is in Sanskrit called Prakruti. You don't have to remember that. You'll just remember that that's the section that you were born with. It's your individual constitution, determined when you were born, as soon as you were conceived. All the DNA got together and came into some combination of the 5 elements, and you got more of one or maybe a balance of all of them, and we'll figure that out by using the tool. So because just again, you're made up of all 3 doshas, but usually 1 or 2 of the doshas are predominant. And then the second part of the tool will have called the Prakruti, which is your current state of balance. And that's what I've been talking about, where you can see if your Vata, Pitta, or Kapha are out of balance. And the great thing about the tool is there's a mind section and a body section for each of the doshas. So you can find out, because you might have a Kapha body imbalance, but a Vata mind imbalance. And so that will also help you choose diet and routines specifically tailored to bring you back into balance and give you control over the success of how that works. So let's, well, and this is pretty common knowledge, if you're balanced, you're going to be healthy, and that's what we want to do. So let's take a look at what the quiz looks like, because when you download it, you might go, wow, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do here. You can read exactly, it gives you instructions, but I just wanted to kind of go through it with you a little bit so it'll be familiar to you when you download it and you'll want to fill it out right away. You'll go to the first section, and this is the first page. And there are columns that are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And then there's characteristics in the rows, your frame, your weight, your eyes, your complexion. And you will be able to then use the numbers 5, 3, and 1. And those are the only numbers you're going to use. And you're going to use each of those numbers, 5, 3, and 1, in each row. So you will read, like for example on frame, I am thin, lanky, and slender with prominent joints and thin muscles. I have a medium symmetrical build with good muscle development. I have a large, round, or stocky build. My frame is broad, stout, or thick. Okay, so you're going to use these. Pick the one that most reflects your frame. Put a 5 in it. Okay, then the one that's next closest, put a 3 there. And then finally put a 1 in the one that's least like you. And so you will continue to do this for all of these characteristics, giving them a 3, a 5, and a 1. Each row should add up to 9. And then you when you get done doing all of these rows, you add up the columns to get your Vata, Pitta, and Kapha total. And so just go ahead and type me a message if you have a question on the quiz, because I'm going to move on to the Prakruti section now. Okay. So the Prakruti section, again, you don't have to remember that word, but I think that on the actual page it does say Prakruti, and that is your current state. Now the current state is set up differently, so we're going to be looking at these statements, and each section, there's a Vata section, a Pitta section, and a Kapha section, and each one will have a mind and a body set of questions, and you will read the questions and then rate them. Not at all 1, somewhat occasionally 3, or very often 5. And you will then use that to figure out your current state for your Vata mind. And you will also do that with your Vata body. Again, I've been experiencing gas, cramping, bloating after meals. So, not at all, somewhat occasionally, very often. So 1, 3, or 5, and then you will total these. So you'll add up all the 1s, all the 3s, and all the 5s, and you'll have a Vata mind score and a Vata body score. And then you'll move on and do the Pitta state, your current Pitta state, and then your current Kapha state. So again, very, very useful information. The first part, the Prakruti, or what you were born with, will let you know who you are and how you came here and what to celebrate and what to let go of and stop trying to be. And then this current state, the Prakruti, will help you figure out, and over the last couple of months or a month or so, how have I been feeling? And how can I bring these things into balance? Well, this number is pretty high. Let's see what I can do. Say your Vata mind is high. And in fact, a lot of people's Vata minds go high as we change into fall because, as it turns out, fall is a Vata season. Lots of movement, lots of air, leaves are falling. So it kind of makes sense that we might get an excess of air and throw our Vata mind out of balance. So, so then you could look to Vata mind pacifying activities and food choices. So, so just to recap, well, I just recapped the proportions of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha are your basic nature, and again, you will total those up, and you will have a Vata total, a Pitta total, and a Kapha total. And these totals, and these are from that first page, these totals will give you your how you were here. You might have high scores in one, or maybe all the scores are 30, 30, 30. And we'll talk about what that means. And you might have two that are close. That is called bidoshic. When they're all three pretty even, that's tridoshic, but most of the time you're higher in one or the other. These characteristics from that first page, if they change at all, they change very slowly over your lifetime. And then again, section 2 is a snapshot of that current state. So you're going to be, when you answer those questions for mind and body in the current state section, you will be saying, well, how have I been feeling for the last month, not how I've been my whole life. And very important on the first page to say, well, how have I been most of my life? Using those results from the current state will allow you to make choices for diet, and that can even be teas and spices, and you can use whatever your highest body score is, you can use food to balance that. When you look at your highest mind score on the quiz, you will be choosing some of the things from your other senses, like music and massage oils. Different smells will help you balance your mind scores. Different activities, looking at different kinds of photographs even, can help you based on your mind-body imbalances. So additionally, on the current state section, there's a section about joints, which is useful to fill out so you can kind of understand where you might need some help there. Also for your weight and how you deal with stress. These are all ways for you to, again, help you understand what's going to work for you. On that last page, you will total all of the your current state section, so that you can send that information to me in an email, as well as your how I was born information. And then when we schedule our phone call, I'll be able to use that information to help you tailor routines that will help you come into balance. So again, when you're talking about how you were born, you may be, pretty high Vata, or pretty high Pitta, or mostly Kapha, or, Vata, Pitta, Pitta, Vata, 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 da, 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 da. Or tridoshic, where you're balanced in all. And again, once you find that out for yourself, you can use that information, and I will help you interpret that and give you some suggestions about how to move forward. Okay, so that is your, your key. Now you figured out how to unlock what's your uniqueness, right? So now we can start to figure out what to eat based on that, and how to exercise. And I'm going to give you a couple of tips for, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about food choices here, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about different the different doshas and the different kinds of exercises that are beneficial to them. These are all things that are covered in depth, including daily routine and how to use your body as all your senses as an inner pharmacy. I cover these all in depth in the Perfect Health course that I do teach. So I'm going to touch on them, but that's a 5-week course, so we won't be able to go into extreme depth today. However, I did want to give you a start of what that looks like to use this information to make these choices. So let's start with food here. Well, we know that honoring our appetite is important to good nutrition, and we want to choose foods that balance, that are balanced. This is very important to understand what types of food balance our current imbalances or our doshic nature. So long before the government came up with recommendations for daily allowances for fats and proteins and carbs, we used to listen to our taste buds to determine which substances were edible and how much to consume. Mother Nature actually packaged foods in one or more of 6 tastes as a way to inform us about that food's influence on our mind-body physiology. The 6 tastes are sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent. And the really cool thing is that we actually need a little bit of each of these tastes at every meal in order to feel satisfied. You might have had the feeling of after you've eaten a meal, you know you're full and you've eaten enough, but you're not really satisfied. Well, chances are that you might have missed one of these tastes. So we're going to talk about what those tastes include. And you might want to think about that next time you don't feel satisfied. Oh, maybe I missed my astringent. You can go have some tea or something like that. So let's look at that. What are these tastes? Now, sweet is not, you know, I need a bunch of cake. It's, well, sadly, right? It includes all the energy sources. It includes proteins, meats and dairy and breads and pasta and nuts and sugar and honey. Think of it as the thing that builds, you know, the things that have the most calories that build structure. They are the nutritive things that we need. And you can maybe keep in mind what that is as far as elements. So that's, you know, solid. That's water and earth, right? Sour is used to help us promote appetite and digestion. There are organic acids, citrus, and yogurts, and fermented things like pickles, and actually alcohol. Salty taste is, you know, mineral salts from the ocean. Salts promote digestion. They also help food taste, you know, enhances the taste of food. Found in, of course, found in salt. Salt is found in salt. And seafood and most sauces you would add salt to, and meat can be salted. Pungent is that spicy taste found in essential oils. Stimulates digestion, helps detoxify our body. You know, peppers and ginger and salsa, you know, those kind of spicy foods. Bitter foods, bitter taste is actually anti-inflammatory and detoxifying. You can find the bitter taste in green and yellow vegetables, or, you know, the green leafy vegetables. Astringents are healing and compacting. You know, you can think of how astringent might taste on your tongue. Those are found in, again, tea and lentils and beans and legumes. So again, we want to include a little bit of each one of these tastes in every meal. However, how we apply this to the doshas is we want to be able to pacify any vata, pitta, or kapha body imbalance that we might have. And so how do we use the sweet and salty and sour and bitter and astringent tastes to make that happen? Well, if we're going to look at vata, who has too much air and space if it's out of balance, and maybe it doesn't have enough weight, you're going to look to those warm, oily, heavy foods that will bring that groundness, bring that structure, bring that solidity. So you're going to eat more from the sweet, sour, and salty categories if you have a vata imbalance. And you're going to eat less of the pungent, bitter, and astringent tastes, which tend to shrink things. Again, I'm going to say this a few times because just because you're pacifying vata doesn't mean you can't eat any pungent, bitter, or astringent. It just means eat less and eat more of the sweet, salty, sour tastes. I love that about Ayurveda. Unless you have a specific food allergy, they don't ever say you can never eat this. Now, if you are going to die of anaphylactic shock, of course you would not eat that. But if you are, you know, not having these kind of allergies, you can just eat more, eat less. And I love that. And so let's look at how we would pacify pitta, or too much fire. We would favor cool foods, liquids, to reduce that inflammation, heartburn, irritability, or any kind of body pitta imbalance we might be having. So we would eat more of the sweet category, the bitter category, and the astringent category, while reducing the pungent, sour, and salty tastes. Again, we want a little bit of each of these 6 tastes tastes at every meal, but we want to have less of the pungent, sour, and salty, and more sweet, bitter, and astringent if we are trying to pacify a pitta imbalance. And again, so same for pacifying a kapha. Kapha, we might have too much structure. Maybe we feel overweight, and we want to. So we'll want to favor the light, dry, warm foods to reduce weight and congestion and fluid retention and that feeling of sluggishness. So we would then favor those pungent, bitter, and astringent foods that are going to help us reduce that and pacify the kapha imbalance. And we will eat less of the sweet, salty, and sour taste. And again, that doesn't mean that if you have a kapha imbalance or if you are predominantly a kapha type person, it doesn't mean that you can never have sweets, salts, or sours. It just means, eat less of that and eat more of the other. And that will help you stay in balance. That will help you come into balance, because you can be a Vata person, I was born a Vata, but I am overweight. And so my kapha is out of balance. And so I'm going to go to these food choices of eating more pungent, bitter, and astringent until I get into balance, and then I can switch back. So again, this is how you can start to use the information about your uniqueness and your current state of balance to make choices that will work for you. I just really love being able to have a tool to do this with. Now, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, this is a lot, and I'm going to have this tool and then I'm not going to know where to look. Well, I will give you the name of the book that the course is based on, which is called Perfect Health, and it's written by Deepak Chopra, and you will be able to use that to easily go as a reference and find out where to make the choices. I will also be spending that time with you on the phone to really sort through this so that you feel comfortable using the tool and then going out and making the choices. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about exercise. Again, we're going to be able to use what we know about our mind-body constitutions to help us form successful exercise routines, fitness. In a healthy fitness routine, we will have cross-training, right? You're going to want a flexibility component. You're going to want a strength component. You're going to want a cardio component. And there are levels of exercise that are useful for each doshas. And however, each of them, to be complete and balanced, should include a component of each of these three areas. So let's look at Vata pacifying exercise. So, again, a Vata person, especially if they are imbalanced, would tend to be, sort of maybe disconnected and more, so going out and sprinting might, create more disconnection, or, doing something where there's a lot of air involved might cause more of an imbalance. So choosing slower paced exercises to pacify a Vata imbalance would be important. So, Tai Chi, yoga, walking, short hikes, light bicycling. And again, it doesn't mean if you are born a Vata that you can't go do a sprint or, some Vata, increasing exercise, but you just want to watch your balance and make sure that you are including a lot of the pacifying activities if you have gone out and got your Vata out of balance a little bit. Same applies to Pitta. Pitta pacifying exercises, again, Pitta imbalance would be too much fire, so you're going to want to do outdoor things. You wouldn't want to be overheating yourself or doing something extra competitive, because that's going to raise that fire. And so you're going to want to choose, brisk walking, swimming, cooling activities, outdoor things, skiing, to help that balance. And that will help you be successful and not overdo your Pitta so that it becomes a detriment. Your exercise can actually be detrimental if you're not paying attention to your body and the balance. And then moving on to Kapha, you know, especially if you're feeling lethargic and you know, getting stagnant, you want to do a lot of vigorous things to get that blood moving. You know, longer workouts because you have great stamina, running, aerobics, dance, active yoga, you know, really get the blood moving. Now, again, just because you're a Vata doesn't mean you can't dance and do aerobics. It's just that you want to watch your balance and make sure that if you start to feel disconnected or too lightheaded or anything like that, that you bring yourself back to the grounding activities. And this will help you listen to your body and use the information that you now know to make choices to keep that balance and keep your exercise and fitness routines working for you. So again, let's just recap what we covered today. We're moving towards 8 o'clock here, and if you have any questions, go ahead and chat them to me and I will look over those in a couple of minutes. Today we just went over what does mind-body type mean and how you can use a tool to help figure out what your individual mind-body type is, and also how you can figure out where your current mind-body imbalances might be, and then how you can create a personal success plan for food, fitness, and stress relief using that information. And I mentioned Deepak Chopra's book, Perfect Health, is the basis for the course that I teach, and it's also where you can, you know, I highly recommend the book as a reference tool. So you can say, oh, my Vata's imbalanced. You can actually go to the back of the book in the glossary and look up Vata pacifying food or Vata pacifying activities, and you can go, oh, cool, I know how to, you know, get my digestion back in track because it's irregular, or I can figure out what I can do to help me sleep, or gosh, I have a lot of indigestion. What are the Pitta pacifying activities? It's really cool to be able to use this in this way. And so, yes, so the book is such a great resource to use the information you learned today. Additionally, if you really want to spend time with the curriculum and just really immerse yourself in this information and learn how to develop these tools that I've been talking about in a more advanced way, you can take the 5-week course. The course was developed by Dr. Deepak Chopra and Dr. David Simon from the Chopra Center for Wellbeing, and that is the course that I've been talking about that I'm certified to teach. The course actually teaches you to use your uniqueness to the doshas that we've been talking about, to balance your mind and body and enhance your nutrition and reduce your emotional stress. And so over the 5-lesson course, you learn how to balance your mind and body, because, you know, when our minds and bodies are balanced, then we can achieve that vitality and health that we're looking for. We can become present and full in our lives. In lesson 1, I introduce you to more in-depth principles of Ayurveda, meditation, and yoga, and dive deeper into the mind-body personalities, that Vata, that Pitta, and the Kapha that we learned about today. In session 2, you will learn how to select the most nourishing foods for your dosha or your doshic imbalance that we talked about. You'll learn how to balance those body imbalances, and these nutritional practices will help you maintain vibrant health, appropriate weight, and optimized digestion. In session 3, you will learn how to perpetually renew yourself every single day by recognizing and eliminating toxins, and also by performing gentle, rejuvenating techniques every day that keep you full and vibrant and available to participate in your life. In session 4, you will learn tools to practice communication that enhances your relationships and helps you achieve emotional freedom. So important, again, as I said at the very beginning, how we communicate to ourselves, how we define our needs, how we talk about our emotions is so important in how we communicate with others. In session 5, you will learn how to use your senses to access the power of your body's inner pharmacy. We can use our every single sense to heal, nourish, and maintain that balance that we've been talking about through this, this event tonight. Now that brings us to the end of tonight and on to learning how you can download that tool that we've been talking about so that you can get started to customizing your own food and fitness and daily routines. So to get access to the tool, you'll go to fullypresentwomen.com/genius-tool. And on that page, you will be able to download the dosha quiz. You can spend about 15 minutes filling it out, and then you email me the results. You'll just send the section totals. And then on that page, you'll also be able to schedule a phone consultation with me to go over those results. Because as I said at the beginning, I'm offering that free phone call with me because I want to really make sure that the information that I gave you today is really useful and that you're able to figure out how it makes sense for your food and fitness and personal routines every day. So thank you so much for joining me tonight and learning how you can use your own key to open that door to what will work for you. And I look forward to talking to you. Have a great evening.